maybe not be familiar with her, Dr. Traci Lynn started off with $200 and she ended up building $100 million empire, $100 million empire. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, there's not a lot of times that you're gonna get an opportunity to get in the room and get into close proximity with someone. No, it doesn't matter race, ethnicity, doesn't matter gender. It's gonna be very hard to get in close proximity and get in a room with someone who's built $100 million business. And not only that, but you have an extraordinary woman, extraordinary African-American woman that has done that and has literally made and created history. And one of the things that I talked to Dr. Lynn, she said, Andy, listen, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be at Story into Profit Live. I can't wait to drop these gems. And one of the things that she said to me, she said, she looked on the couch, she said, Andy, I'm gonna be traveling during the Choose Yourself Summit. And I said, oh, okay, well, maybe you can't make it. She said, no, but here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have this conversation anyway. We're gonna make sure we have this conversation. So while she was traveling, her and I had the whole conversation that I'm gonna make sure I play for you guys so you can hear this conversation. But before I do this, I wanna go ahead and play this video because some of you may not even realize all the powerhouse of what I'm bringing in. And I know I can tell you a lot, but there's still something special about you seeing it for yourself.
I always feel grateful for all the things that I've been exposed to, all the things that God has blessed me with. What does it cost to run this kind of business? And especially me, the person that runs it with 35,000 consultants that can come in and out at any given time. You can have a heart and do business. You can love God and be an entrepreneur. People don't think they go together because they think to be a successful businesswoman, you gotta be shady. No, you can have character and integrity. Everybody with you is not for you. I already know that. I learned that lesson, but I'm not gonna let anybody stop me from my purpose. Faces are gonna change, but my mission is gonna stay the same.
Oh my goodness. I mean, like, are y'all serious right now? Do me a favor right now, put 100 million down in the chat.
100 million.
Million. I see some people say, Dr. Lynn, fired, Dr. Lynn. So for all of y'all who have even heard of Dr. Lynn, you understand that she had a sales force of over 100,000 women, consultants selling her jewelry, selling her makeup, right? Like, game changer. Les Brown introduced me to her and she was like, there is no way. She said, I'm gonna be at Story into Profit Live. But she said, Andy, there is no way that the people are not gonna hear from me during the Choose Yourself Summit. So while she was in the midst of traveling and in the midst of that, truth be told, she said, Andy, I'm a little bit under the weather, but she said, let me tell you right now, what we not gonna do is allow anything to keep us from having this conversation. So I want you guys to just be privy and get in on this conversation that I had with Dr. Lynn. And I want you to be dropping it down in the chat because I didn't want you to just miss a second of this, right? So I want you to be dropping down in the chat. Listen carefully. Let's go. Oh my goodness, Dr. Lynn, let me tell you, we are so excited to have you here for the Choose Yourself Summit. And let me tell you why I'm really, really excited is because most of the people who are tuning in right now, who are joining us for the Choose Yourself Summit, they've already gotten their ticket and they're going to see you live in the room at Story into Profit Live. But I do know that some of them haven't gotten their ticket and some of them haven't had the opportunity to be exposed to you. So before I have you say anything, I do want to go ahead and say this. For those of you who do not know who Dr. Traci Lynn is, I want to make sure you understand that this is an icon. Literally, I am speaking to an icon. She has an iconic brand. She's an iconic businesswoman. She is an extraordinary visionary. She literally started off with $200 and built a $100 million business. But the most important thing is she was able to inspire people to choose themselves and have a sales force of like 100,000 consultants that were out there really being able to get her amazing jewelry, her amazing beauty products into the hands of so many different people. So Dr. Lynn, I know you're super busy, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us for the Choose Yourself Summit.
Absolutely. It's always the right thing when you choose yourself. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I got to ask you this right away, right? Because, when we came up with the whole Choose Yourself Summit, we're just thinking about how many entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches that are sitting on the sideline. They're waiting on somebody to let them on a stage. They're waiting on somebody to give them opportunity inside of their business opportunity, when really at the end of the day, they should choose themselves. Now, I know that's scary. So my question for you, when we in the vein of the whole choosing yourself, at what point, like what was that defining moment when you made a decision that you were going to choose yourself to build all that you've done in business? When did you make a decision to choose yourself?
Well, there were two defining moments. And, even in the Bible days, there was something called your rock moments, when you had these Ebenezer moments, and these are your anchoring moments. And one of my anchoring moments was when I was out traveling with National Speaker Seminar. I had been on the road with Les Brown. I was his opening speaker. And then I decided to work in speaking full time. And so we would go on the road. We were real road warriors. We'd leave on Sunday and we would be on the road all the way until Friday night. And we didn't stay in the Marriotts of the world. We went to the Motel 7s. Some people don't know about Motel 7. That's below the Motel 6. So that's where we would have to stay. But I always had a mission. I saw it as a 2-year goal, like I was getting my master's in speaking. But 1.5 years in, they came up and said, okay, we're going to cut your pay to speak in half. So you got to do the same work, but we're going to cut you in half. And I saw some of the older ladies who were out there on the road, and this was their life, and they loved it. I saw them crying because they had to continue to choose what that employer said the rules were. I was on a master's program in my own mind, but this was going to be an accelerated master's program because I was going to get up out of there. So I made the decision. This wasn't going to be long term. I'm getting ready to leave. I told everybody. In public, I chose me. In private, I had them tears. I had to pray. I had to work myself up. But I remember that this was just a part of the journey. It wasn't the full journey. It was only a part of the journey. And I left. And I tell you what, I never looked back. I went out on my own and I started speaking. So that was one thing. And then while I was out speaking, I met so many women. How can I work with you? How can I work with you? Well, we didn't have coaching and all that back then. Only thing I knew that I could do so that I could continue the work was to start a business so that they can work with me in the business. And that is how I really came up with that direct sales concept for me to do the business.
Dr. Lynn, we've had so many like side conversations, and just even hearing you say that, it's like this crazy similarity comes up for me right now. Because I remember when I got in the job with PricewaterhouseCoopers and I had interned with them, and here I am, I'm working the job with them, and it got late night. And I started hearing the managers and some of the seniors talking about all the things that they wanted to do, but that they didn't do. And then when I asked them the question, well, why aren't you doing it? Then they talk about, well, I've been here this long. The pay is good. At this point, it'd be too risky. And I realized that if I didn't choose myself in that moment, that basically I was going to end up being just like them, right? So what they really did was like, they held the mirror up for me to make me realize, like, if I didn't choose myself, if I didn't take a shot and a chance on myself, they made it very clear to me what my future was going to look like, right? So even though I was scared and I most certainly didn't have it figured out, I also can relate 100% to what you just shared. So let's think about this, though. It's one thing to choose yourself, but it's another thing to have a dream that is so big that you can empower other people who choose themselves to be a part of your vision. So number one, like what inspired you to be like, instead of me being inside of somebody else's direct sales company, I'm going to go ahead and build my own direct sales business. And then like, what are the things you had to do to be able to inspire other people to choose themselves so that they can go ahead and be part of your really volunteer workforce, right? You had to be great at getting people to see the vision and getting people to see the importance of choosing themselves so that they could go ahead and attach themselves to your even bigger vision.
Right. And, you know, if the dream is not scary or big enough, it's probably too small. And it has to have a God component to the dream, because I get asked that question all the time and people don't always want the real answer. I knew it was just a part of the destiny, something that I was honestly called to do. There was Madam C.J. Walker, and I loved her story for a long time and didn't know why. And she was the first Black direct sales CEO president, big timer, back in 1915. Now, she can do it in 1915, surely. And since then, it's only been me. And these are God moments. Now, I know there's a generation coming up next, but these are God moments because I hadn't seen it done. I didn't know anybody who was doing it. And I met Mr. Dudley and his family when I got into it, and they were the only ones. So not to see it and to do it at that level was one of those missions, God-inspired missions. And when you do that and you see that the vision is bigger than you, it was enough room in my vision for other people to have a part, then empower them to be successful.
So, you know,
am I freezing on you, Andy?
Oh, just a little bit, but you're good.
Okay.
You're still good.
Okay.
You know, I was just thinking about this though. When you have a vision that's that big, or when you're thinking about choosing yourself, there's some fear that starts coming up. And I know that there's some people who are listening in right now, and they're like, I want to choose myself. The only thing is, every time I choose myself, I unchoose myself because of the fear. So for you, like, how have you managed the fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection with making the decision to build what you built? Like, how did you manage the fear? And what would you say to that person right now that really wants to choose themselves, but fear has them paralyzed?
Well, fear can have you paralyzed, and not moving can have you paralyzed. I know some people who get just analysis paralysis. They got to analyze it, see it 25 times, and they still don't move. So at some point, you've got to move. Now, I am not going to sit here and say, I chose myself and the rest is easy and history. No, I chose myself. There was a lot of rejection along the way, but I always saw the bigger picture. I always saw what God needed me to see to walk this vision out. People came, people went, people would surprise you, then you don't get surprised anymore. I mean, it's the whole gamut, but it's called the life. It's called the journey and the journey of life. And I would not change that journey in my life for anything. And that helped me today to overcome fear when I want to start something new, to overcome the opinions of other people. You got to get delivered from other people, because if you stay stuck there, you'll never do anything great.
I was just listening to you when you're talking about delivered from other people, and I'm assuming we're talking about really what they think of us, right? Caught
Absolutely.
up in other people's opinions. And to be honest with you, I think that that's something that I had to purge and continue to purge, right? Being overly concerned about what other people think, realizing that, like you were just saying, that there's a purpose and a calling on our lives, and we got to walk forth in that purpose and calling. And everybody's not always going to see that purpose and calling. And at some point, we got to be okay with, you know, our vision being different from other people's visions, right? And being okay with walking forward in the thing that God's called us to walk in. So here's the thing I do want to ask you, because I just been wondering, when you made the decision to choose yourself, was there a moment where you thought about throwing in the towel? And what did you learn from that moment that allowed you to keep pushing forward?
Well, I had many moments. So you don't go on $100 million journey with a moment.
You have moments at every phase of the journey, every phase of the money of the journey. There are moments that you think you want to throw in a towel. And every time I did, something will come along and just get me right back on track. Somebody would send the most amazing email with exactly what I needed to hear. I got so many forehead kisses from my father, like, calm down, breathe it out, and keep going. And to the point that I developed an armor, and I didn't even know I had this strength and armor. And I developed that because I was so concerned as an only child, what people didn't, what they were going to think if I didn't do it this way. And you got to remember, I'm talking about 100,000 women. And this is a volunteer sales force. So, I mean, the force was real. I love the force. Thank God for the force. But everybody wasn't doing the right thing on the force. So I had to always contend with that. And I had to make a decision that it was going to rub some people the wrong way, and it was going to rub some of them out the way. And that's how I like to see it. Some people needed to be out of the way, and they were exposed. And I had a decision. Was I going to believe what I see, or was I going to try to make an excuse for what I saw? And I had to believe it and keep moving. And there were people I lost along the way, but I gained a whole lot more than I ever lost.
Wow. Wow. Let me ask you a question, just because I feel like you have helped so many people to get to their next level, and you continue to inspire so many people. I know you've been an inspiration to me and my wife, Coach 𝐀𝐧𝐝, and you have women that you coach and help them to be able to get to their next level. What do you think is the primary thing that is keeping people from choosing themselves? What do you think is the main thing that is creating the block for people who have the ability to do something amazing like you did? What do you think is the thing that actually holds them back, that's keeping them from choosing themselves?
I believe it is the law of the lid that they've placed on themselves. The law of the lid, where if I leave this job, how am I going to make it? So then there's the lid. I can't go further than this. And even if I could, what would I do? What if it doesn't work out? Then I have too much to lose. So sometimes the older we get and the more stuff we accumulate, it smothers us from taking a leap of faith, a chance on ourselves. Even though we'll take a chance on that job that may let you go. They might be having plans of your departure, and you got plans of your retirement. And we don't see that. We put too much of our gifts, not even our hope, but our gifts in the hands of someone else who doesn't even see all that you are. So the big lid people face is, first of all, that money. How am I going to make that? Well, you ain't got to make that. Just make something while you're still making that. So that's the part of the money mindset we got to help people with. It ain't got to be all or nothing. Some of us have done all or nothing, but you may not have to do that. Just start where you are. And then eventually, if you don't block yourself out, then, because now you're making the money, now you're talking about retirement. How much you got in your 401k, and then how much you got in profit sharing. And then you don't even know, they're not going to be profit sharing soon. And if they do profit share and they give you the biggest profit, my profit that I've shared in is bigger than anybody else's profit that I could ever share in. I'm still living on my profit sharing.
I know that.
I'm still living on
them
that,
nuggets down
because
in
you
the
got to
chat.
take a chance on yourself. Open the jar, get rid of that lid. It's a lid in every category. Then you're going further than anybody else you know. Then your friends ain't going to be your friends. They want your friends anyway. They ain't going to be your friends. And sometimes if they are, they may not be able to go with you to this next level. Not that you can't be friends, but you can't talk this talk. They don't understand this language. That's why when you come to this event, you're going to learn how to talk on a different frequency. You're going to talk. I talk sometimes to people, they be like, I don't get it. No, let me explain it to you. And I want to say, listen, I understood you 100 years ago. I got that, but you're not hearing me because we're not talking on the same frequency. So you coming to get in the room with people who are talking maybe at a frequency that you don't fully understand, but your spirit understands it.
Mm.
Get in that room and it'll begin to play it back for you. It'll be a Fathom note taker for you. It'll start taking them notes and bringing that thing all back to your remembrance because your spirit is ready. You just got to get the lid off and get into the room.
But get in the room in the chat.
So Dr. Lynn, I'm gonna say this because you're talking about getting in the room, right? You know, for all of you that are with us right now for the Choose Yourself Summit, when we talk about getting in the room, we talk about making sure that you join us for a Story into Profit Live. That's on October 12th through the 14th. Like this event is going to be a game changer. We're focusing on the mindset, the messaging, the marketing, the monetization strategies. And Dr. Lynn, the reason why I'm looking forward to you being in the room is because I know that for a lot of people, they're still trying to fathom how they could get to their next level. And one of the things I'm looking forward to is being able to hear from you, like, what is the mindset that it takes to start off with $200 to be able to bootstrap and constantly how to elevate your mindset beyond, hey, I made 6 figures. Okay. Then elevate your mindset to get to multiple 6 figures. Then elevate your mindset to get to $1 million. Then elevate your mindset to get to 10 million, then 20 million, then 30 million. Then to be able to, over the lifespan of the business, to be able to generate $100 million. There had to be nonstop, constant mindset elevation. And so one of the things I'm looking forward to is you just sharing with us, what is the mental blueprint, right? To be able to transform our mindset so that whatever level we are right now, so that we can not just get to what the thing that we desire, but how we can actually get to that next level. Do you mind? I mean, don't go into it because we want everybody to get there in the room, but do you mind just sort of like sharing with people why they need to be in on this conversation? Because one of the things that I know you've told me a lot of times offline, you like, Andy, as much success as I've had, you said, Andy, if I would have had someone who could have these conversations that you have with me, with Coach Kaz, the conversations you have with your coaching clients, you're like, if I had somebody who was having these type of conversations with me, you like, y'all think what I did was amazing, right? And most of us can't even think of nobody else we know that's done what you've done, right? And you like, y'all think what I did was amazing? You have no idea what would have happened if I would have been privy to some of these conversations. And that's the conversation you're bringing the Story into Profit Live. So I'm excited about that. But what can you tell us about what that kind of conversation does for people and the transformation it makes for those people who are really, really wanting to turn their story into profit?
It makes them believe. I had nobody I could look to. And even the one person I saw, I mean, if they're not having those conversations, then you're having conversations with yourself. And if you don't have the right information, you are probably talking yourself out of. Where when you come around us, I'm going to be talking you into. I'm going to be showing you how you are already equipped, how you already came here with it, some tweaks you need to make in your life, in your group setting, who you hang around. I'm going to come for those kind of things because I want to give you the conversation, that framework that's going to help you start to build it. And then once you build it and you see that it's real, it's a game changer. That's why I know so much about the life of Madam C.J. Walker. Of course, I didn't meet her. She was already dead and gone by the time I came, but I studied her because I needed something real. And she was real for me. And it made it real to me that I can make it happen. Those are the conversations that we are not privy to. Yes. Those are the conversations. Like I was telling someone something and they were like, well, I don't get it. That doesn't make sense. Well, it may not make sense on a certain level, but on these high level conversations, it's going to make a lot of sense. And if you don't get it now, store it. It will come back to you. But if I could have heard those conversations that didn't make sense to me, because she would have been talking about whatever the millions were she was making, and I'm still trying to make, 200,000. Maybe it didn't make sense, but inside I knew it was real. I knew that I just wanted, I read her book so many times. I just need her to keep talking, keep telling me how she traveled with a lawyer and an accountant back in 1918. Wouldn't go anywhere without a lawyer and an accountant by her side. Keep talking to me. So I need one. Surely you need one in 1918. I need one. Those are the conversations. And when we can make those conversations in today's language for the people, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's worth, I don't even know what the ticket is, but I will tell you something. That's a discount for what we get. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, you know, and I got to say this, right? I believe that what Madam C.J. Walker represented to you is what you represent to so many of us today, right? You use the word real. You make it real. And what I love about your conversations is they're always real. And you're not speaking from theory. You are speaking from battle-tested, true. I've been on the journey. I took all the licks. I took the beat down. I had it all on me. I had to walk through the fire, through the storm. And I can't walk this for you, but I can certainly tell you how to get through on the other side, right? Not out of theory, but because I went ahead and did it. And one of the reasons why I am so excited, and the team's going to be dropping the link right now for everyone to make sure they secure their spot for Story and the Profit Live. The reason why I'm so excited is because I know what happens when these conversations happen. And I know what happens when people get the downloads from you. I know what happens when you start speaking to the people's spirit. I know what happens when you start imparting for them the things that they need to be able to transform their mindset. You know, I remember, like I could say years ago, I was blessed and fortunate, like Les Brown was going to be speaking at your event, and he introduced me to you. And at that time I was, you know, the student just saying, you know, hey, can I come in here and speak to your audience, right? That's what Les was talking. You were like, who's this Andy Henriquez guy? You're not putting him in front of my audience. But let me tell you something. I was willing to walk the walk and also make sure that I delivered the goods. And because of that, we've been able to build a relationship over the years that not only did I get an opportunity to be able to go ahead and share a message to your organization, but now I continue to be able to be a benefactor of all the amazing downloads that you give and that you consult me and my wife and so many of your amazing coaching clients. And so I can't wait. When I say I can't wait for people to get in the room at Story in the Profit Live to be able to completely transform their mindset. And most importantly, like you said it, so that we could raise their belief on what the possibilities are, so that they could stop sitting on the sideline, stop wondering, stop making these false scenarios, and so that they can get out there and leverage their message and turn their message into a profitable business, $1 million business, multi-million-dollar business, whatever it is that they desire. But it's possible. But most importantly, they got to get in the room. So Dr. Lynn, thank you. I appreciate you. I know you're super busy, and we are super excited about having you at Story in the Profit Live. Thank you for blessing us here during the Choose Yourself Summit. I know you've inspired some people, and we can't wait. We can't wait to have you in the room with us in October.
I'm excited about it. I think it's just going to be amazing. And I know that transformation is going to take place in that room because people stepped into the room. Sometimes you just have to step into the room. Once you step in that room, everything opens up because you took the first step. You took the first step. You took off the lid. Ain't no cap holding you. What the kids say, no cap?
No capping.
No cap. No cap. So we ain't got no cap. And, you know, it's going to be amazing because those are the events. Those are the events that change lives. Somebody's going to walk out of there and they're going to see that $1 million story. They're going to see they got 10 million dollars worth of stories in them for other corporations, for themselves, and for other groups. It's just like today, they're going to choose themselves. If they don't have a stage, they're going to create their own stage. Choose yourself. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be major transformation on that day in that room, and you don't want to miss it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you heard from Dr. Traci Lynn. Don't miss it. Get in the room. The team is dropping the link below. Make sure you secure your spot for Story into Profit Live on Fort Lauderdale Beach. It's going to be off the charts. And of course, make sure you stay because we got some more. We got some more people you're about to hear from because it is all about choosing yourself. We go make some people choose themselves and get themselves to the next level. All right, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, family. Listen, y'all, listen. My man Trevor Otts is about to come up on the stage live in full effect. But let me tell you right now, as Dr. Traci Lynn said, get in the room. Something happens when you get in the room. So once again, my team is dropping the link so that you can join us on Fort Lauderdale Beach, October 12th through the 14th for Story into Profit Live, right? Once again, you're going to use the coupon code EARLYBIRD, all one word, Early Bird, all one word. The Early Bird coupon code works on the silver ticket. It works on a VIP ticket. It works on a platinum ticket. The most important thing is for you to get in the room, to be able to get in the room, be in on the conversation that you were hearing a little earlier from Mr. Lamar Tyler, who's going to be dropping the damn gems and breaking it down after helping so many people to scale to 6-figure, 7-figure, and even 8-figure businesses. He's going to be pulling the curtain back and breaking down what it takes to be able to grow and scale your business. You heard Dr. Traci Lynn, who went from $200 to building a $100 million business. Most people can't even get in the room with Dr. Traci Lynn. The lady don't even need to get in no rooms. Do you hear me? She don't need to walk into nobody's room. But we got her, and she's going to be in the room. And if you just got inspired by some of the things that she said, do me a favor right now. I want you to drop it down in the chat. What was your biggest takeaway from Dr. Traci Lynn? Drop it down. I saw so many of y'all was like, oh, I saw Dr. Traci Lynn here. Oh, I remember her. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I had an opportunity. My cousin was in her business. I'm in her business or whatever. Drop it right now. Somebody said, remove the lid. Remove the lid. The law of the lid, right? From John C. Maxwell. 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Yes. Open the lid, open the jar, get around higher frequency people. How many of y'all caught it when she said, hold on, sometimes you get around a conversation and you're not ready for that conversation yet. And then she said, you know what you got to do? She said, you got to store the conversation. Some of y'all, sometimes somebody's sharing something with you and you're not ready to receive it. So you stop listening. Dr. Lynn said, don't do that. Don't do that. If the conversation is ahead of you, don't dismiss it. She said, store the conversation. Guess what happens once you store it? A little later on, you're going to be like, oh, man, I remember what Lamar Tyler said. Oh, I remember what Trevor Ott said. Oh, I remember what Dr. Lynn said. Oh, I remember what Andy said. Oh, I remember what Star Babatune said. Oh, I remember what Alicia Little said. There's something about storing the stuff that you heard, right? But the only way you're going to be able to store it, you got to get in the room. I tell you, listen, I told you, the Choose Yourself Summit, our role, our job is to stir something in you. Many of you, you got your goals, you got your dreams, you got your aspirations. You've been sitting on the sideline. You've been thinking about taking your business to the next level. You've been thinking about hiring team. You've been thinking about taking your message to the next level. You've been thinking about making things happen. But here's what the problem is. You're operating in a silo. You're operating in a silo. Success needs momentum. And we get the momentum by changing the place that we are. Environment is stronger than willpower. I'm telling you right now, you could be in the same environment, have all the same goals, same dreams, aspirations. But if that environment doesn't inspire you, if that environment doesn't have the right people around it, if that environment doesn't trigger something in you to move, then chances are you're going to stay exactly where you are. And I know what that's like firsthand, y'all. I know what it's like to pretty much follow the script, do everything that my parents told me to do. I went to school, I got a good education, I got a good job. I'm working with this amazing company, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I'm a certified public accountant. On the outside, you would have looked at my life, you say, man, this dude, he got it going on. And on the inside, I'm miserable. I'm waking up every day. Lamar was talking about that traffic. I live that traffic every day. I'm waking up to the sound of an alarm clock. I'm showing up to a job in which I knew that something inside would say, Andy, there's got to be more than this. But you know what? I was scared to choose myself. So for a year and a half, I sat on the sidelines. I would talk myself into my goals and my dreams, and I would talk myself right back out of it. Now, I just want to make sure that I got some company in here. How many of y'all ever had something you wanted to do? You wanted to write the book. You wanted to launch a podcast. You wanted to hire somebody on your team. You wanted to make something happen. You talked yourself into your goals and your dreams, and you talked yourself right back out of it. If you ever done that before, do me a favor right now. Put me too down in the chat. Put me too. And I'm going to tell you right now, for me, December of 2004 became my defining moment because I realized I was being trapped by fear, and I had a misconception. And the misconception is I thought fear needed to go away before I could take action. That's what I want you to understand. Some of you think fear needs to go away before you write the book. Fear needs to go away before you raise the price. Fear needs to go away before you do your challenge, your webinar, your podcast, your own conference. Fear needs to go away. I'm gonna tell you something. Newsflash, fear ain't going nowhere. So what does that mean? Fear can come with you. The only thing is fear can't just sit behind the driver's seat. You got to tell fear, okay, I realize you like hanging around. So here's what we gonna do, fear. I need you to get in the back seat of the vehicle. I need you to put on your seatbelt because you coming with me. Joyce Meyer said, do it afraid. Because what she wants you to understand is that most of the time when it is time for you to get to your next level, when it's time for you to walk into your calling, your purpose, and the thing that you want to do, you're gonna have to do it afraid. And so this misnomer of thinking that fear has to go away before you take action, that is the biggest lie. That is the biggest misnomer. You got to take action with the fear. Fear can go with you. Remember what I'm telling you. Fear can go with you. Fear just cannot sit behind the driver's seat. Because if fear gets behind the driver's seat, fear only knows how to do two things. Number one, slam on the brakes to stop you from signing up for the coaching, stop you from getting in the room, getting to the conference, stop you from raising your prices, stop you from doing the webinar, the seminar, the podcast, stop you from the things that you want to do, or even worse, put you in reverse. Remind you of what didn't work out. Remind you of the little chatter you got and the people who said you weren't going to make it happen. Make you feel like you're not good enough. Make you feel like you got to get another degree, another certificate, another something before you can move forward on your life. I'll tell you right now, we can change your life if you allow us to. We will deliver the goods, but there's only one thing that we cannot do for you, and that is we can't show up on your behalf. You got to make a decision to choose yourself. You got to make a decision to get in the room. So once again, I'm gonna share this real quickly before we pull up my man, Trevor Otts. But I want you to understand that you need to get in the room, right? And so once again, here's what you're gonna do right now. My team is dropping a link. You're gonna head over to Story into Profit Live with the link that my team dropped. And as soon as you get into that room, it's gonna go ahead and it's gonna ask you, hey, you ready to grab your ticket? You're gonna click on that go button, say, yes, turn my story into profit. Then it's gonna bring you down to where the tickets are. And remember, with your coupon code, the early bird ticket, the silver ticket goes down to $4.97. The VIP ticket will go from $12.97 to $6.97. And even the platinum ticket will go from being $29.97 to $21.97. The most important thing is, you know whether you're a silver ticket person, a VIP ticket, or a platinum ticket, right? Who was it just a second ago? It was Dione. Dione got a platinum ticket. Regardless, the most important thing is get in the room. When you use the link that my team provides, it's going to pre-populate the actual coupon code for you. And then you'll look down and you'll see the coupon code applied. The most important thing is make sure you get in the room.